basically this get parameter method will help us to receive some parameter from the forms, and then we will use the parameter received from the form for processing, and then we will get the result, and that result we will see how it is helping in problem solving. Then get servlet config. In last lecture I mentioned that we will discuss about servlet config, and we will see how servlet config get servlet config method is used and what is helping hand it is providing for developing application. And then we will use get init parameter, and before that we will try to initialize some parameter in the deployment descriptor. That deployment descriptor is nothing but our web.xml file. In that we will see how init parameter we can put and how we can retrieve that init parameter with the help of get init parameter method. So in this 45 minutes of lecture, or in this duration, what we will try to do is that we will write servlet program, we will execute that servlet program, and then we will see how that servlet program is responding to a client, and then some other program we will take, and in that program we will try to get some information from the web XML file, and that will give you a basic idea or very basic exposure that how web XML file can be used for different aspects, as we will use that for initializing parameter and then retrieving that parameter from that web XML file and using that parameter in our application. So let us start with set content type and get writer. We will directly jump to a program and we will try to go in this code one by one. We have imported something, and as you know, these imports are essential because these are the basic classes which we will use in our servlet writing. So here I am writing a class hello servlet 1. This extends HTTP servlet. So it is clear that we are going to use HTTP protocol for our servlet, and in this what we are doing is that we are implementing do get method here. This do get method, what we are passing in this HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response. These two objects we are passing, and it throws servlet exception and IO exception. This is the basic syntax for do get method. For do post method also the same syntax is there. In place of do get it will be do post, and we will pass the request and response object, and then it throws servlet exception and IO exception. And then see response dot set content type text HTML. So whenever response header you will get or you will read the information from that response header, the content type that response header will return is text HTML. It means that the information or the content your browser will get by requesting this particular servlet on the server or container is text and HTML format. Now get parameter I am using. This get parameter method request object and then method, this parameter is, this method is method of HTTP request, and then parameter name I am giving here title. Just you remember that this parameter name is title, and we will see if we are providing a parameter named title, how this parameter will go to the server and how server will perform some operation, and then how this title we will use in later section of our program. Now let me see here what we are doing. Print writer out, Again we will use print writer for writing something, and then again this response dot get writer, as we mentioned that get writer is available in the response for writing. This is of type print writer. Now out.println we will use. Out.println, in this we are writing servlet heading dot head title data. Now see, servlet heading dot head title data, we have never mentioned in previous section of our program what servlet heading is and what head title. So definitely it is coming to be a servlet heading. We are having a separate class, and in this class we are having head title method, and this we are calling for writing the title of the header title or head title of the web page which will be generated. And data, definitely we will pass some parameter in it, and we will see what data we are passing and from where this data is coming. So this data we will pass here. This data is nothing but the parameter which we are receiving from our title. Means we are reading the title in the form, and that form will send the content of this title, and then this title data we will store in our data variable, and then this data variable we are using here, or data variable we are passing here in head title method, and this head title method will do what? Let us see. This head title method is returning a string, and that string is nothing but the document, that basic document required for writing HTML code, or initial stage of writing of HTML code, then HTML, and then title. Now see, this is the title. This title variable we have passed here, means whatever title we are reading in our form, that will come here and it will be printed. Now our title will be whatever we give in our HTML form. Now let us see if our this servlet program is ready. Suppose we have compiled this servlet, we have created the class, and that class file is deployed at appropriate level, and then after deployment, if we are having a HTML form, that HTML form is like this. We were talking about the form method in previous lecture, in which we mentioned that if you are having form method equal to post, only post method, then only post method will be called, otherwise by default get method is called. So here we have defined form method equal to get, and then action we have given that HTTP, then localhost, then servlet, and then the location or the service we are giving here, that is hello servlet 1. Now it will request to this, but it will request to this URL or this service. In addition to that, some more parameter it will pass, and that parameter is what? Whatever parameter we pass here. What parameter we are passing? Give title of the web page, and then the type name, and then title. This title parameter we are passing, and then we are writing press button, and then whatever the basic formalities are there, that we will do, and we will create a basic HTML page. And if we open this page on our browser, what we will get? We will get this HTML page, give title of the web page, and then whatever title we will write in this text box, and then we have written press button and then submit query. If suppose I write servlet, here it is written servlet, it is comparatively little small, but there is limitation, I can't increase size on this presentation. Let me try once more for more clarity, but still you will not be in position to see it properly. Still I feel you can't see, but it will be little more better if you see on the screen that this servlet is, just see on the screen. Slide please. Slide please. So if you see on the screen, what you will get is we are passing servlet, and then this servlet will be taken as a variable. Here servlet is written, and then this servlet we will give as value of the title, and then if we press this submit button, where we will go? We will come to this URL. This URL is nothing but your HTTP localhost, and then servlet, then hello servlet 1. After that there is question mark, and after that question mark, title equal to servlet plus test. Now if you see, hello, you have given servlet title to this web page, servlet test title to this page. So see, servlet test is the variable which we have, value of the variable which we have given for our title variable, and this variable we have retrieved, and this is represented here. So it is looking very simple, that it comes straight forward, but behind this what you have done is you have used this get parameter, and this get parameter method is getting the value of the parameter which you have given inside this, the name of the parameter, and then that value was nothing but servlet test, and data is now having servlet test as a value, and when this data we are passing here, it is printing title here, and then here what we are printing is hello, you have given data title to this web page. And one more thing which we have to see is that on next page you will find that servlet test. Here it is servlet test, means title of your web page which is just on top left corner, servlet test, which is visible here, and this title again we are confirming by printing the value of data in our HTML format, that is servlet test. So this servlet test is the title, and that title we have tried to write on this head we have written. In this head we have given title, and that title value we are printing, and that title value, as we have seen, that we have given servlet test, and that is again coming to our hello servlet 1 servlets output when we are requesting. Now let us go to next program. In that program we will try to use get parameter again, and in addition to that we will try to use one more method, that is get parameter values, and then enumeration, as we were discussing, that get parameter names we can use, means if we are having more than one parameters, how we can read one by one those parameters, that we will see. So we will use in next example get parameter name, and then get parameter name, get parameter values, and then we will use get parameter names. So this program is just extension of the previous program, and in this what we are having is that content type we have set, and then request we have sent, and then print writer object out we have created. After that out println, as we did in our previous, that we are calling this head title method of servlet heading class, and then title to this web page. Parameters are now see request get parameter name. Here I am calling get parameter method on a variable name. Now I will show you on next slide, or the HTML form where I am creating, that I am having more than one parameter here. Name, next parameter is address, email, and next parameter is address. So here I am having 3 parameter in my HTML form, and I will try to read all these 3 parameters by using this get parameter thrice by changing the argument, that is first I am using name, second email, third address. So one by one all these 3 parameters we will read, and then we will call that servlet heading. It is just similar to the previous one. And if you come to HTML page which I have created for parameter test, now if you see this form method I have kept similar to the previous one, action is also similar to previous one. What I am changing now is my URL has changed here, because I am now trying another application or another web application, that is my parameter test servlet. And in this, give a title to your web page, title will be given, and after that give your name, one parameter, give your email address, another parameter, give your address, that is third parameter. Means here I am using get parameter thrice, once for name, second for email, and third for address. And these 3 we will see. Definitely fourth parameter is there, but that I am not using here in this program. As you can see that get parameter I am using just outside, but in our HTML page which we are creating inside the servlet, in that we are using 3 get parameter methods, 1, 2 and 3 here, and all these 3 are being used for getting name, email address and address of the client or the user which is requesting for the application. So now let us see how this form will, HTML page or HTML form will look in the browser. This form will look like this. Give the title to your web page. Now I am changing the value here, my parameter page I am giving. So whenever I will submit this, the title of the web page which will be generated by parameter testing will be my parameter page. That we will see. Give your name, the name is given, give your address, then web address or email address is given, and then give your address, and in this address is given. And if I submit query button, press here, it will generate a request, and that request will consist of 4 things. 1, URL, second, the location of your parameter test, third, the title of the web page, and fourth, these 3 parameters appended to the URL. So now our URL will have URL address, after that a question mark, after that question mark what we will have title equal to, then some value what we have given, my parameter test or parameter test page, that will be the first parameter. Second parameter will be your name equal to, and then something, and then third parameter will be your email address, that will be email equal to, and then some value, and then fourth will be address, and then that particular will consist of address equal to something, and then your final string will, appended string will terminate. So let us see, it is having a very large URL looking here. It is very small, but just what I mentioned, that up to this your URL is there, after that question mark is there here, and after this question mark what you are having is the appended parameter, and this appended parameter is because of the reason that we are using get method. Title, and then this title value is there, and then next parameter is there, that page name, and then it is email address, and then address. Now if you see, hello, you have given my parameter page title to this web page. Now if you see, my parameter page is here, means the title of the web page which we are seeing here is my parameter. For testing, it is written here that my parameter page title we have given, and then parameters which we have given are name, here name is displayed, after that email address, here email address is displayed, and after that address, and that address is displayed. So it means what we learned in this program is that we can have several parameters and we can read those parameters one by one by using get parameter method of here. You see get parameter, then you are passing variable, and remember that this get parameter method is of request class. So we have seen these two examples, and these two examples are having two major things. One is that it is setting content type, and then you are creating print writer object for writing on the servlet or for creating your page, and then you are using get parameter to get the parameter which you are passing in the HTML form. Now let us go to next aspect of our discussion, that is reading value from a web XML file. Now if you see that how web XML can be used for having certain value which is not going to change very frequently or which is applicable for whole application. So here get servlet config we will use to get the servlet configuration object, and get init parameter we will use to get the servlet initialization parameter, and init parameter is the tag which is used for initializing parameter. Now let us see the program test message. In this we are trying to read some information from web XML file. So before we go to web XML file and see how that parameter is initialized or how that parameter is kept in that, let us see the program which we will use for getting the information from the web XML. Now in this program, if you see, there is nothing very special, but one thing is special, that is here we are not using default initialization, we are using our own initialization by implementing this init method. So servlet config, if you see, my config object I am creating, and in this object I am assigning get servlet config method, and it will get the servlet configuration object. Now MSG1 I am creating my config dot get init. Now see, my config I have created here, my config object, the name of this servlet config object is my config, and this my config I will use for getting the parameter from the web XML. So my config dot get init parameter I am using, and now this message will be the name of the variable which we will initialize in the web XML, and if this message is null, we are assigning default MSG, and if it is not null, it will retrieve the message from the web XML file, and then we are trying loop str. Loop str is an object of a string, and in this what we are trying to get is that my config dot get init parameter repeat. Repeat is another attribute or another variable for which we will try to store the value in the web XML, and then repeat, definitely repeat will be a value for our operation, and then after reading in this string we will try to parse it into a integer value, and then that integer value we will use in our operation in later section. Now let us see where we will use this MSG1 and repeat. Now see, do get I am calling, or I am implementing, similar to the previous program. Now if you see here, content type I have set, data, again I am taking title. It is not of much use for us because we have seen in previous two programs that title we are passing, and that title is being displayed on the corner of the web page which is generated. Means we are giving our own title to the web page. And then get writer object, print writer object we have created. From here we have to see minutely that out.println we are using, and in this the message value is. Now the MSG1 is nothing but it is available for our servlet program. You have to see that once we have initialized MSG, or we have get the value of MSG from the web XML, so that MSG is now available here and that will be printed. We are not calling MSG from anywhere else. We have initialized the MSG in our init method, or in our own init method, and that MSG we are going to use, MSG1 we are going to use here, MSG1. Now if you see this repeat, if the repeat value is suppose 10, this loop will run for 10 times and MSG will be displayed for 10 times. So now we have to do one thing, that we have to go to our web XML file and we have to set two variables named repeat and message. In that basically we have to initialize, and that initialized value we will read from our own init method, and that init method now will read the MSG1 and repeat, and that MSG1 and repeat we are using in our do get method, and that will display it. Guess if I give repeat 3 times and I give MSG ABC, our result will be that the message value is ABC, then again ABC, and then again ABC. Now heading, it is similar to the previous programs. Now if I come to web XML file, and only one section I am covering, that in servlet I am going to initialize the parameter. So now you can see here that servlet name test message that we have given, servlet class test message we have given, init parameter, parameter name, message we have given, that we have read from our get init parameter. This message we have passed in our init parameter. Once you can go back and you can see here that we have used get init parameter, and in this we have passed our message variable. Now if I come here and show you that message is available here and parameter value is something Mr. MP Misra or whatever you can put, and then this is closed, and then again I am giving another parameter. The second parameter is repeat, and the value for this parameter I am giving here is 5. Now this servlet I am closing our initialization in web XML I have done for this servlet. Now I am creating my own HTML form. In that form again I am welcome to test message display program I am writing here, and then give your title. Definitely whatever you give, that will be the title of your page which will be generated. But mind it that whatever title you give, that is not going to bother the later section, that is message and repeat section, repeat variable. And if I submit here, now I have given message servlet as title. If I submit, I will go to this servlet. Message servlet is the title now, and hello, you have given message servlet title to your web page. The message value is MP Misra, and if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the same message is displayed 5 times, because of this loop. So now one thing is very clear to us, that we can have some variable and its value in web XML for different servlets, and we can use that particular for servlet. But one thing is suggested here, that you have to keep only those variables and values which don't change frequently. If some value is changing frequently, then it is better to pass as parameter, not to initialize in web XML. Now let us see a little bit about how I have done deployment for these three programs. So as you can see that these are some programs written and saved in a particular directory. It's hardly bother where you are writing and in which directory you are compiling, but the most important thing for us is that this class file. If you are having this class file, where this class file actually should go, for that you must have to remember. In some previous lectures I have already mentioned that the web deployment structure is having its own fixed structure, and in that structure only you have to deploy the different applications. So in our case we are having some simple three programs, and if we have to deploy these three programs, what we have to do is we have to put these class files, or the class files created for our servlet programs, to appropriate directory. What that appropriate directory is, for my application which I developed, that my Tomcat is in C directory, and then its version, and then web application. You have to go to the web application directory of your Tomcat, or then from that you have to go to the root, and then you have to create web INF directory, or in web INF directory the class directory will be there, and in that classes directory you have to put your different class files, or you have to deploy these class files in those classes directory. So if you are deploying these files in your classes directory, then only it will be accessible from the server, and it will give for the service. So with this we come to end of our discussion how actually we did, but you have to be a bit careful about how you are creating your directory structure. There are different way of putting the directories in the application development. It may be that you are having your own application with your own directory structure, but you have to remember that your directory structure, wherever it is, ultimately it should have web XML file. In that web XML file it should have web INF directory, and in that web INF directory it should have classes directory, and in that classes directory only you can have your class files, that class files of your servlet programs. And when you run your web server, let us say in our case when we run our web server, if I run this web server and I write only HTTP localhost, then where I will go? I will go to the home page of this Tomcat which I have installed on my machine. But I have to run the servlet, then I have to write the URL in the form that is here. Action will be performed on this location, HTTP localhost servlet, and then the class name. Now if you see this servlet by default will be there, and this servlet means it will look for this class or this test message.class file in root directory. Inside that root directory it will go to web inf directory. Inside that web inf directory it will go to the classes directory, and inside that classes directory this test message.class file must be there, otherwise it will display some other message. Definitely response will come back, but it will come with some other code that it may be that servlet or application is not available, or it is misplaced. For example, suppose currently my program is working fine, but if I remove this particular class file from this directory, web root and then web inf and then classes directory, and then again I restart my server and I try to go to this particular application, it will give some error because this particular application is not available and it will not serve the purpose. So this is all for our discussion for this session. I hope you have got some very basic idea about what is servlet and how servlet programs are written and how these servlet programs can be deployed and how you can get a feel of client server application or a web application. Basically servlet technology is very good in sense that it is having support of whole Java world, or it is having support of all the Java features available, from object orientation to multi-threading and from message passing to message hiding or encapsulation. So all these things can be done in the servlet programming, and hope you will try to exercise some basic servlet programs and you will try to expose yourself to how web XML file can be used for initializing some parameter for the different servlets, and you can try with more than one servlet having their own parameter and how they are interacting with each other, and whether you can get the parameter of a servlet into another servlet or not, and if you are not getting, how you can get it. With this session comes to an end. Thank you very much.